Apple usually does not introduce a product that reduces the sales of its other products or lower their value. For example, after introducing the iPhone 14, it cancelled the sales of the iPhone 13 Pro. Why? Because the iPhone 14 was the same as the iPhone 13 Pro with even some risky features. But the M2 Mac Mini is exactly a product that has an extremely high purchase value. And by the way, it makes buying Mac Pro and Mac Studio illogical. This is a review of the Mac Mini with the M2 Pro chip. So, let's do it. In terms of design, Mac Mini with the M2 Pro chip is similar to what we know from Mac Mini. It has a completely minimal design with an aluminum body, and compared to the power it provides, it is extremely light and portable. It is only 1.3 kilograms. Under the device, there is a written Mac Mini, which also houses the speaker, and it makes the aluminum body a little higher. The ports along with a fan are placed on the back of the device. As a mini computer, Mac Mini ports are almost complete. 4 Thunderbolt 4 ports with speeds up to 40 GB per second and the ability to connect a separate graphics card or an additional 6K 60 frames per second display. 2 USB-A ports with 5 GB per second speed, a 3.5mm audio jack that can be connected to a microphone and high-quality headphones, an HDMI 2.1 port, and an Ethernet port with a data transfer speed up to 10 GB per second. In terms of monitor connection, M2 Pro can support 2 Apple XDR Pro monitors or 3 4K 60 frames per second monitors. Or if you want a high frame rate, it also supports a 4K monitor with a 240Hz refresh rate. This device even supports Bluetooth 5.3, and in general, almost nothing is missing for a professional experience. The hardware is definitely the most important part, where we have to see how this chip performs in such a small form factor and compare it with M2 and M1 Max, which are the competitors of the same brand. The M2 Pro in this device has 10 CPU cores, including 6 3.7 GHz performance cores and 4 3.4 GHz efficiency cores, 16 to 19 GPU cores, and 16 neural engine cores, which are definitely useful in AI processes. All M2 chips are based on 5nm process like M1's, but they use the second generation TSMC 5nm tech. This computer has 16 to 32 GB of RAM with a bandwidth of 200 GB per second, which is twice as fast as the M2 model and twice as weak as the M1 Max. The single core performance of the M2 Pro is 11% better than the M1 Max and less than 1% better than the M2. In multi-core performance, the M2 Pro is 1.5% weaker than the M1 Max and 20% stronger than the M2. In terms of GPU, M2 Pro is 90% better than the M2, but 40% weaker than M1 Max. Now let's get away from the numbers. Mac Mini with M2 Pro is $600 cheaper than Mac Studio base model, and it has close competition with it. On the other hand, its performance is completely rock solid and there is no problem with it in heavy edits, opening heavy 3D files, and even designing in 3D. And if you're a content creator or programmer, this is definitely the best choice. But if you want to run engineering softwares, don't go for Macs at all, because for many of these softwares, you will either need a Windows emulator or they are not very compatible and you will not have a good experience at all. You will have the same experience about gaming. Regarding the stability of its performance, I must say that it is more stable than MacBooks with the same chip, and on the other hand, it is very optimized. But in heavy and long usage, you have to accept that this is not a gaming PC and you will experience a 20 to 30% drop in performance. M2 Pro Mac Mini comes with macOS Ventura and probably has software support for up to 6 years. You are probably familiar with macOS, a smooth operating system that is very compatible with the hardware. It is very compatible with other Apple devices, but if you are a Windows user, it may take a while to get used to its limitation and get used to its very different UI. The Mac Mini speakers can meet your needs, so if you want to carry it, you won't have a problem with the sound. but the quality and volume of the sound is not so high that you don't think of a separate speaker for it. M2 Pro Mac Mini with a base price of $1,300 is definitely worth buying for editors and those who produce content or designing, or even wants a powerful daily computer. And gaming is not a priority for them. The base model of the Mac Studio is $1,900, and the Mac Pro, I think it is no longer competitive. Windows mini computers also do not have this power and stability at all. But if you think you don't need a very powerful computer, the 512GB M2 model is also a really good choice. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, like it, and if you like my content, subscribe to my channel. Goodbye, see you next video.